Hello everyone and welcome back to another video of Ross Vlogs. Ross Vlogs? You know what? I have been uploading now to this channel on a regular basis for a few months now, and it's come to the point where I don't even know what my channel name is. Ross Vlogs? Ross Vlogging? Anyway, I'm Ross. Welcome to the channel. We're here today to discuss another entry in the James Bond franchise. This time, we are discussing Roger Moore's third entry, which is This Spy Who Loved Me. Now, this movie released in 1977, and the very first time I saw this movie was all the way back in 1999. Now, I am going to grab the VHS copy that I have up here. And whilst I have this VHS copy in my hand, which is right here, holding it and looking at it and everything like that, but this VHS, this movie, the Spy Who Loved Me, is up there with actually On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and also You Only Live Twice as... This is in my top three. At this point, let me make that perfectly clear. At this point, The Spy Who Loved Me sits in my top three James Bond movies of all time. Now, I'm just going to put this away, so bear with me. I'm going to put it behind my head. Now, the reason... Actually, let me move that to the side. This might actually not be too bad if I just put it there. Anyway... this movie here holds such a special place for me. Let me take you back to when I reviewed the movie You Only Live Twice. I mentioned how I was working. I was 15 years old. I was working at a video store at the time, and I was doing school also. And I finished that night after purchasing two movies. One of it was You Only Live Twice. The second film I purchased was this beautiful film right here, The Spy Who Loved Me. I purchased those two films. I brought those movies home, didn't watch anything that night, jumped straight into bed, and the next morning, instead of going to school first thing in the morning, I thought, let me just knock out my homework in the morning. I'm going to watch You Only Live Twice. And then when that movie finished, I put on a second film, I said. That second film was The Spy Who Loved Me. I put that movie on. And I began to watch the movie, and then after about 15, maybe 20 minutes into the film, I saw my dad drive he drove his car into the driveway and said, "Hey, I got a call from the school. They told me you're not at school today. What's going on? I've come home and now you're here." And at that point, I had pulled the VHS tape out of the actual, out of the tape player. And I put it away, and I said to my dad, "Oh yeah, I was doing my homework. Sorry, I'm heading to school now." And I walked to school, which was across the road from where my parents lived at the time. And I walked into the gate, and my dad was looking at me. And when I saw him get into his car and drive away, I stopped. It's cheeky, but I didn't tell the full story last time. I stopped, I turned around, and I walked out to school. I walked straight back home, unlocked the door, turned off the alarm straight away, grabbed the VHS, this movie here, put it back in, and watched the movie from where I left off to the end of the film. And it was mind-blowing. It absolutely changed my perspective on James Bond, because remember, up until this point, I'd only really seen Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. Just before watching this film, I had seen Sean Connery as James Bond, and I knew that up until this point, Sean Connery was the original Bond. Everyone was saying how he was the best Bond, he was this and he was that, and to each their own. But I sat down and I started watching The Spy Who Loved Me, and I was absolutely blown away by what I was watching. This, from beginning to end, this movie was it took my breath away. It honestly did. It honestly did. It was such a special movie for me. It had everything that I wanted in a James Bond movie and then more. Now, in 1999, I had watched GoldenEye 50, 60 times. I had watched Tomorrow Never Dies probably 20 times. And at the end of this year, 1999, The World Is Not Enough was coming out. So the only Bond films I had watched are the ones that I at that point owned, which was GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, You Only Live Twice, and The Spy Who Loved Me. And once that movie finished, it was probably about, I think it might have been about 12 o'clock. I walked to school and, I apologised to the teachers and everything like that. I said, yeah, my dad told me off. He's grounded me. I just made up a whole bunch of lies. I walked into school, handed my homework in, and I could not get this movie out of my mind. And it even goes deeper than that. Like if you don't know, I own a Tesla, a Model 3, and it's a car that I love. It is a vehicle that I have wanted for many years. And the way I found out about the company Tesla and the car brand itself was when YouTube became a thing. I actually started looking at the car from The Spy Who Loved Me, which is a Lotus Esprit. I started looking at that on YouTube, and someone had converted one of those cars into an actual car that went on the water, because there is this famous sequence in this movie where the Lotus Esprit dives into the water and converts into a submersible vehicle, like a submarine. And James Bond is underwater and he's navigating underwater with the car. And through YouTube, I found people had actually done conversions of cars and then electric cars. And then I started getting into electric vehicles, and then Tesla was the major one, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So this film has really touched me on so many levels, and it holds such a special place for me that when I came to write my notes for this, I had note after note written down about this movie, and I thought to myself, and I was talking with my wife just before this, we were having dinner, and she goes, "Are you going to record tonight?" And I said, "Oh, I might just write down some notes." And then I was sitting there and I thought, I'm just going to get up, I'm just going to turn the camera on, see what happens, and see what I can actually say, because this film means so much to me, and it's kind of, it's a bit of a shock for me to actually stand here and talk about it. I'm going to do my best, though. I'm going to do my best. All right, so let me get into the plot. The plot of this movie begins there with two ballistic missile. They're not nuclear. Two ballistic missile submarines vanish. They disappear off the radar. We don't know. In the movie, the sequence is that they actually starts off inside the submarine, and you just see these the seamen just doing whatever they're doing. They're just in there. They're playing cards or chess or something like that. And then all of a sudden, the lights go red and black in the submarine, and we don't know what's happening. The captain sees something, and then it cuts. And then we find out via MI6, head of MI6, we find out that he wants James Bond back ASAP, pull him whatever mission he's on, get him off that, bring him back in because we've got an emergency. On top of that, so it's one of the British submarines that was, we don't know at this point. They've just vanished. On top of that, we then see the head of the KGB, General Gogol. He is saying the same thing, that one of his submarines has also vanished. No idea how it's happened, no idea what's happened, but it's just disappeared from all radar. We need to get our best agent, who they refer to as Triple X, and bring them in. And we find out that Bond's obviously making sweet, whatever you want to call it, to a woman in the Austrian Alps there. And Bond gets almost like a fax comes through on his watch. Really cool. I love it. And he just pretty much stands up and says, "Look, I've got to go." And she goes, "Oh, but I need you." And he's like, "Yeah, but so does England." And he takes off. And the sequence that follows is this amazing ski sequence where Bond is just navigating down the slopes, whilst there's a couple of Russian agents coming after him. And the music that accompanies this is called, on the soundtrack, it's called Bond 77. And it is some of the best music up until this point of the franchise. It is one of the best action music pieces that has come along. And Bond navigating the slopes and doing backflips, landing, skiing, grabbing his, whatever you call those, the poles that they use to navigate, to pick up their speed and everything, grabbing one of those, spinning around and pulling the trigger and shooting it, which we find out must be a Q gadget, and killing one of these agents. And then it ends, this whole pre-title sequence ends with Bond coming to the, like you can see it, the camera pulls right out and you see Bond going down this ski slope. And at the very end, he just launches off, and you just see him come off the ski slope, kick off his skis, and he's just free falling. And the music cuts out. You don't hear anything. It's just like a little bit of wind. You don't hear anything. And he just keeps on going down and further down and further down and further down. And then at the last second, his parachute pulls out and the Bond theme kicks in. And then it just cuts into the title sequence. And may not be a long sequence. It's probably only a total, this entire opening of the movie might only be a total of maybe 5, maybe 6 minutes. But it is so intense. You watch it, your palms are sweating because of how... Oh my, is he going to make it? Is he going to... I mean, you know he's going to make it. It's a James Bond movie, but it is so brilliant. You're in knots watching this sequence. And every single time I watch this movie, I can watch James Bond movies all the time. And I know what's going to happen. And I can be looking at it and then turning away from it. And I can hear what's happening and know what's happening. And then eventually I'll turn back and then go back and forth like that. I can put Bond movies on as background sounds to me, as a background thing, or I can sit down and I can watch the movie intently, and there's no issues with that. This movie here is one of those films that when Bond is skiing and being chased and the Bond 77 music is on, I am frozen and I am locked onto what's happening on the screen. You're not taking me away from this movie at that point. And when the title music kicks in, which is Nobody Does It Better, it's so different from what we've had in the previous 2 Roger Moore movies, which were rock, and now you've got this, which is just this nice... It's almost like a romantic ballad song. It is beautiful. It's sung softly. It's not intense or anything like that. It's just this beautiful song that's sung, but it fits this movie so well. And the best part about it is that the melody of Nobody Does It Better is used throughout this movie whenever they want to play up the romance or the budding romance between Bond and Anya Amasova, who is also known as Triple X. And if I do refer to her as Triple X or Anya, then I'm talking about the same person. Once that comes to an end, Bond returns back to MI6, and that's when we find out that, yep, these submarines have vanished. We don't know what's going on. They have disappeared from the radar, but we've heard that there might be a bit of microfilm out there with someone selling plans to, like, do this very thing that has happened to us. There's plans out there that someone can do these things. So we need you to go out there, find this microfilm and see what information it's got on it. So Bond takes off to Egypt, and at the same time as he's doing that, we see the KGB side of things. So we see Triple X, who is a woman. She comes into the KGB office. General Gogol's there, and he says to her, this is the situation. One of our submarines has vanished. We need you to go to Egypt. We need you to find out what's going on. This, and that. We find out in this moment during the meeting between General Gogol and Anya that the Russian agent that James Bond killed at the beginning of the movie, the only person he killed at the very beginning of the movie, was actually Triple X's boyfriend. And when she's told that he died, you can see Anya's face kind of like she wants to react, but their relationship is a secret. So she almost takes it as if he's just a colleague. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then you actually get General Gogol and he flat out says, look, it hasn't escaped us that you two are an actual thing. And he actually shows this compassion toward her. And you have to think that these movies came out during the Cold War. Russians were the bad guys. And you watch this film and you're like, oh, they're actually not that bad. Like General Gogol in this movie is as compassionate as M is to Bond. Like he has that same relationship with Triple X as M has with Bond. And it's actually really good. The relationship factors in this movie are done really well. Like you find out she has a boyfriend, he died, and she pretty much says, when I find out, because they don't know who killed the boyfriend, so she's like, when I find out who did this, I will kill him. Like, we know it's a British agent, but we don't know who it is. So you've got that little thing. Now, we as an audience know that, oh, it was Bond. Now, she is going to Egypt where Bond is going to be. What's going to happen from there? At the same time as that's going on, you've also got this guy called Karl Stromberg, who is the villain of the actual movie. And he is your typical Bond villain. He's got the massive, well, we don't know what's a base at this point, but he's got his massive room, massive dinner table, and he's sitting there and he does his whole monologue to these people and presses a button and just murders someone by dropping his secretary into like this big water vat that he's got, and a shark comes up and rips her to bits, and these two guys get on a helicopter and then he pushes another button and boom, it blows up. So you know he's the bad guy straight away. But what I really love is that he's so twisted. This guy is twisted. Throughout the whole film, you're finding out more and more and more, and his actual base is called Atlantis. And his fascination is that he wants to live and create a society beneath the sea. So his base actually rises up out of the ocean and then submerges back in the ocean. You can tell it's done with miniatures, where every time you see the base rise up and go down. Obviously, we're talking 1977, this movie came out. But it still looks pretty good considering. Like, they're not using CGI, they're using miniatures. And they've obviously cranked down the speed of the footage a little bit to make it look bigger and everything like that. But once he kills these people that have betrayed him pretty much, he then gets his henchmen to come in like assassins. And one of them is Jaws. And Jaws is this like 7 foot 10, whatever he is. He's this tall, muscular, heavy built, like a brick wall type of character. And he's famous in the James Bond series for having metal teeth. And he will bite through anything, including his victims, when he wants to kill them. And he's introduced at this part. And he doesn't talk. He's just this tall, silent figure. Terrifying later in the film. He's terrifying. And Karl Stromberg pretty much says to him, go and get the microfilm, and whoever comes into contact with it, kill him. No ifs, ands, or buts. So we know that now this guy is going to go there to Egypt also. So you got Bond and Anya on their way to Egypt, and now you've got this assassin, Jaws, on his way too. So you get these 3 people coming from this one microfilm. And when they get to Egypt, you see this beautiful scenery, absolutely beautiful. These are all locations I would love to travel to one day. But you see there, Bond's there, gets a woman to fall in love with him within about 10 seconds to the point where she sacrifices herself to save him. Classic Bond. And then he has this fight sequence on top of this building, and he's trying to find out information. And the best part about it is that he does nothing to this guy except push his arm away like that, just pushes it away. And what happens is this guy, during the struggle, him and Bond, he grabs Bond's tie that he's wearing, and he's hanging off the edge of the building like that. And the only way that he's staying upright is because he's holding onto Bond's tie. So Bond asks him, "Where is this person I need? Where's this contact?" And the guy doesn't tell him. He asks again. The guy eventually tells him. As soon as he gets the information, Bond just slaps away his hand. The guy lets go, falls down, and he's gone. And it is such an intense, cold-blooded moment from Roger Moore. I love it. I absolutely love it. And it shows that, yes, he can be charming with the ladies, but when it comes to doing the mission and doing what he needs to do, he goes for the kill. And then after this agency, they go to the pyramids in Cairo, or Giza, I think it is. I'm not 100% sure, but they go to the pyramids, and that's where you finally see Jaws being this menacing figure. He's just like, there's parts when Bond is sneaking around and stuff like that, and you just see Jaws standing there, and the music that plays throughout is typical 70s music. It almost sounds a little bit disco, but it fits the moment so well. And every time the characters like Jaws appears, it's just this, I can't explain it. The music is just utterly fantastic. Utterly fantastic. And the part that I love is this guy tries to hide from Jaws, and he goes behind like this, almost like a jail door, and he puts a chain around the door to secure himself, and he's hiding in there. And Jaws just goes up, grabs the chain, puts it in his mouth, and bites it and rips the chain apart, and then gets this guy and kills him. And it is scary. Like, it is scary to just see the way the camera closes in on Jaws' teeth as he goes to take a bite out of this guy. Oh, it is so good. I mean, you can just tell how much I enjoy this movie, how intense it is. And then you've got Anya Amasova, which Triple X. She's beautiful. She's, up until this point in the Bond franchise, you've had a lot of beautiful women. She is easily my favourite. She's the sexiest, the best, everything. She's gorgeous. I absolutely love her. Played by, I believe it's pronounced Barbara Bach. I'm not 100% sure on the surname. B-A-C-H. But she's beautiful, beautiful. And yeah, her and Bond finally meet. And in the next scene, when they get together, they finally acknowledge Tracy Bond, who obviously is James Bond's deceased wife from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And it's done in such a way where Bond and Anya are finally talking and having a drink, and he orders her drink, meaning he's done research on her. He knows that she's, KGB, and he knows what drink she likes, and he's got information on her. And when he orders her drink, touche, she then orders his drink, vodka martini, shaken not stirred, and then proceeds to reel off information about Bond's, he was with the Navy and then recruited into MI6, and then mentions Tracy, married once, this and that. And the way Roger Moore just cuts her down and stops the conversation.
Many lady friends, but married only once. Wife killed.
All right, you've made your point.
You're sensitive, Mr. Bond.
About certain things, yes.
I love it. I absolutely love it, because you have to remember, On Her Majesty's Secret Service for me is such an amazing film. It's my number one Bond film. And when we get to Diamonds Are Forever, the fact that they don't even acknowledge Tracy's death or the events of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, they cut deep for me. It still does. And then when you get to Live and Let Die, and then you've got The Man with the Golden Gun, which are just taken as separate adventures. The fact that The Spy Who Loved Me acknowledges a past Bond film, adventure, and also acknowledges the death of his wife, that hits. That really hits. And from that point on, you kind of see that Bond and Anya are very much equals. And the rest of the movie plays out in such a way that she saves Bond, Bond saves her, they have their friendly banter, a bit of romance kicks in, And then from that point on, once they've got the microfilm, which Bond steals off Jaws, Anya steals it off Bond. She gives it to the KGB. And then the KGB, MI6 say, well, we should just team up at this point. You've got your agent, we've got our agent. Put them together and they can go after this Karl Stromberg together and just join forces. So that's what they do. And they next head to Sardinia, which is in Italy. And a little bit biased because I am Italian. And when they get there, Q shows up and gives Bond, I'm going to say my second favourite Bond vehicle of all time, which is the Lotus Esprit. And it is beautiful. It is beautiful. Like, the way they film this car is phenomenal because you've got these beautiful landscapes in the background and the camera's pulled right back. You see the car and it looks like an advertisement for Lotus. I would not even be shocked if back in 1977 they used some of these shots to just sell the car. I'm pretty sure that the car would have sold itself based on this movie. And when they eventually meet up with Karl Stromberg and then leave his Atlantis base, he pretty much says as soon as they get back to shore, kill him. And what follows is one of the most action-packed, intense car chases in the Bond franchise up to this point and still moving forward. And it is Bond being chased by a guy on a motorbike, Bond being chased by a car with like 4 henchmen in there, including Jaws, who's out the window shooting at Bond. Then a helicopter. And then it goes underwater because, as I said, this car, one of the gadgets it has, amongst others, is that when it goes in the water, Bond, hits a button and all of a sudden it converts into a submarine. And it is phenomenal. I wish I could just show the entire sequence of this car chase, and with the Bond 77 music playing in the background, it just gets you pumping. You cheer in this movie. And some of the way the stunt driver is driving this car, there's a part when the helicopter's chasing, and there's 2 parts. The helicopter's chasing at one part, and it's hard to describe, but I'm going to put it on the screen. But the car's driving across the screen. All of a sudden, the helicopter just comes up out of the background, and Bond makes eye contact with the pilot of the helicopter, who is a female agent, and her name is Naomi, another beautiful woman. And she smiles at Bond, like cheeky smile, and then uses the machine guns to try and kill him. And he's trying to outrun this helicopter. And there is a part that I absolutely love where the car goes from the road to this dirt path and spins in, then does like a U-turn, then does another, it's this really good sequence where the car, I love it. Ever since I have watched this car chase sequence, I have always wanted to film a car chase sequence. I've always wanted to direct a sequence or plan one out. Obviously, I've never had the opportunity and I never will, but it has been a lifelong dream of mine to record a car chase sequence that is equal to this movie. It is hands down phenomenal, and it is worth searching it out on YouTube if you haven't, just to watch it. Fantastic. I love it. I love it. I love this sequence. And then when the car jumps into the ocean and you see it converting to a submarine, beautiful. And as I said in the previous film, when I mentioned about Scaramanga's flying car, I said that's when the movie gets fantastical, and I said, but I buy it. I buy it. At this point, I'm here in the franchise. For me, it's not out of the ordinary now. So when I get to this movie here, I buy it. You've got a car that's now a submarine. Yep, that's fine. I'm there for that. And funny enough, they actually did film the submarine in the ocean, in the water, the Lotus submarine. They built one. Obviously, it was filled up with water inside, and you had people in scuba gear inside, navigating underwater. But the little action sequence that happens after that, with like torpedoes flying and mines coming out the back, It's so well done. And then the other part that I really love, and I'm just talking about this movie bit by bit, there's so much to love about this movie, is when they drive out of the ocean and they come up on the beach, on the sand, and there's people all around. And then Roger Moore just casually puts the window down, gets a fish, and drops it out the window. It is so good. It's just such a fun little... This whole movie is so fun. And then when Anya finally finds out that Bond was the agent that killed her boyfriend, she says to him, once this mission is over, I'm going to kill you. And Bond doesn't argue. He just says that we're agents, and in our line of work, it is kill or be killed. And that's why he had to protect himself on the skis at the beginning of the movie. And the way Roger Moore delivers the whole scene when it's filmed, the way Roger Moore delivers it...
When someone's behind you on skis at 40 miles an hour trying to put a bullet in your back, you don't always have time to remember a face. In our business, and your people get killed. We both know that. So did he.
Oh, this guy can act. I really do. Roger Moore is really, on this rewatch of these movies, he's really moving up on my list of Bond actors, and fantastic. And the whole movie, when it comes to a close, which is in the La Paris, which is this massive... it looks like a tanker, a big ship, a big tanker ship, like an oil tanker ship. But what it actually does is you find out what actually happens to the submarines is the tanker ship at the front opens up and swallows the submarines and then closes. And once it's inside the La Paris, which is the big ship, they say either get out of the submarines or we're going to put like gas in there and kill you all. So you can either get out and survive or stay in there and you're going to die. So they pretty much just want the submarines and the missiles that are on board. And Carl Stromberg's plan is to send out 2 submarines out into the ocean and have the Americans fire ballistic missiles at the Russians, in Russia obviously, and have the Russian submarine shoot ballistic missiles at the Americans. And he's hoping that will cause World War III to begin and destroy or level out the planet. And once that's done, he'll create a livable city under the sea that he pretty much controls. And obviously Bond's going to stop that, and so is Anya. And they do. And the entire last 30 or 40 minutes of the film is based in the La Paris. And then eventually Bond escapes that and then goes for Stromberg and Jaws and Anya. He goes to retrieve Anya in the base Atlantis. And it is fantastic. It is so good. There are so many really wonderful sequences. The music, the way the music is done in this movie. Oh, and it's not even John Barry. And you know I love John Barry. And I'm gonna find out the guy's name because I'm pretty bad. Marvin Hamlish, I believe that's how it's pronounced. Fantastic musical score. Like I said, Bond 77 is one of the best pieces of James Bond music I've ever heard. And there's just so many more in this movie that are really done well. And even the way the movie's filmed, the soundstage, 007 soundstage is used, and they created the entire interior of the La Paris inside, big enough to hold 3 submarines inside. That's how big this place is. And it is all on film, and you see it, and you've got enemies shooting from above, from below. You've got people running around, explosions going off. And it is very similar to You Only Live Twice in the Volcano base, which is fitting because directed by the same director, Lewis Gilbert. He directed these two movies, plus the next one, which was Moonraker. And I'm just blown away by how good this movie is. And even... Every single time I watch it, how well it holds up and how much more I fall in love with this movie each and every time. Like, there is not a point in this movie where I'm bored. I'm never bored in this movie. From beginning to end, I am focused on the screen. I absolutely love this movie. Roger Moore's at his best here. He's absolutely firing on all cylinders here. He's at his best. It's got some of the best action up to this point in the franchise. The pre-title sequence alone set an absolute standard of what's to come from James Bond. I mean, it is massive stunt at the beginning of the movie to open it up, and it just leaves you being like, what else can they do? And they do a lot more throughout the film. It blows me away. Every time I watch this movie, it blows me away. And I'm so happy that I took a little bit longer before bringing this review out, because I really wanted to watch the movie a lot more and just let it really soak in. But yeah, my final thoughts on this movie are right up there. It's in my top 3 at this point. It's in my top 3 James Bond films. It's possibly number 2. It is hands down one of the best Roger Moore movies, if not the best. And I actually had the pleasure, well, unfortunately, after Roger Moore passed away many years ago, they actually had a James Bond double feature at the local cinema next to me. And I went there and they had The Spy Who Loved Me, and the follow-up was For Your Eyes Only. And there was me and there was 4 other guys in the cinema, and every one of us was just glued to the cinema. Not one of us moved, not one of us was eating or drinking. We just watched this screen. And watching this movie on the big screen, I had a smile from cheek to cheek. I couldn't get this smile gone. It was fantastic, and I'm still like that every time when I talk about the movie and when I watch the movie again. I turn into a child when I watch this movie. It is so fantastic. I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm glad I could talk to you, and it's probably my longest review yet, just because of how much I was talking about this movie. Now, what I am going to do is talk about my stats. I'm going to talk about my stats in this movie. Now, it's a little bit difficult because I've kind of had to guess when it comes to the kill count, because it's a bit hard at the end of the movie, but I've got it as Bond killed 32 people. There's a lot of thugs and people like that, but that's what he's got. He's got 32 kills. I've got him visiting 4 locations. We've got the Austria at the beginning of the movie. I've got it here as Scotland, but I'm just going to do it as the United Kingdom, Egypt, and then we go to Sardinia, which is in Italy. I was thinking about adding La Paris or Atlantis, but they're not like physical locations, like ground locations. So I'm going to not put them in. So 4 locations. He only bedded 2 women in this movie, and I think that's pretty good. Now, I've got my calories burned in this movie. I burned 938 calories, and the total calories was 1,304, so that's pretty good. It took me 2 hours and 10 minutes and 46 seconds to watch. Also pretty good. Now, in regards to my weight loss, I have no idea at the moment. Again, I will put it at the bottom of the screen. It'll be down here somewhere at the bottom of the screen, and you'll know if it's good or bad. My eating, though, has been shocking lately. I haven't really stuck to anything. I really need to get my head back in the game and focus again. And I will. But I'm just distracted. I've had so much stuff going on lately, especially with our cat Vader. I'm gonna bring it down a bit. A week before recording this, my wife Liz called me into the kitchen, and I ran in there, and Vader, our cat, was having a seizure on the floor, was thrashing around, foaming at the mouth. We did not know what was going on. His back legs weren't working. It was one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. He was panting and uncontrollably thrashing his body around, and we took him straight to the vet after that. They did blood tests. They had no idea what was going on. And all we've done for like the last 5 or 6 days is spend as much time with him as possible. Because I was scared. I was almost crying, because when he stopped having his seizure, I had my hand on his back just to kind of hold him in place so he wouldn't hurt himself. When he stopped having his seizure, he looked at me directly in my eyes, because I was laying on the ground to be as close to the floor as possible with him. His eyes were just completely dilated, and he did not recognize me at all. And I just kept on saying, "You're all right, buddy. Come on, Vader. You're okay, buddy," like that. And it was scary. And I wanted to record this over the weekend, and I just didn't have it in me. I didn't want to. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to really record anything. I didn't, I just wanted to kind of not deal with what had happened. We did deal with it, but it was scary, and I felt like it was bad. I didn't like it, and we've got to take him for some more blood tests. So I took longer to bring this review, but I think it's worked out for the best because it's also allowed me more time to watch the movie and really let little things sink in, and just how beautiful this movie is. And so anyway, our cat Vader is a lot better now. So everything's going good. We just got to get some more blood tests this week, and in my next video I'll give an update then. But look, that's all for now. The video's running probably is one of my longest ones, so I just want to thank everybody for subscribing, for liking, for commenting. For the people that are giving it a thumbs down, that's fine. I don't care if that's how you feel. Do it by all means. But I really do appreciate everyone. Now, as a little thing again, my aim for the end of this year is to hit 500 subscribers. I hope I get there. If not, I'm doing my best. So I appreciate everybody that's watching, and I hope you're all doing well. And if not, let me know and we can have a discussion, or head over to my Instagram, which will be up on the screen somewhere, and we can also have a discussion there. But until I speak to you next time, have a absolutely wonderful time. Enjoy YouTube, enjoy your life, enjoy family and friends, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye.